Hello, welcome to part 3 of Bholi. Nice to have all you smart, fluent English-speaking students with me. As you remember from section 2, we had a simple little girl named Bholi. Okay, her name was Sulika, but because she had fallen down when she was 10 months old, she injured her brain a little bit, and she stuttered when she started talking at 5, and they called her Bholi. Okay, which means simpleton. Anyway, at 7, they started a nice school in her village. And her father sent her to the school, and she didn't know anything about school. She sat in the corner, and the teacher came up to her. And the teacher had a beautiful, soothing voice, full of love. And because of the teacher's voice, Bholi was able to say her name. She could before only stutter or stammer, but the teacher said, please try, give me your whole name. And Bholi said her whole name. And then the teacher said, you will become a very smart person, the smartest person in this whole village. So Bholi went to school every day. And over the years, okay, she learned a lot and also gained a lot of confidence. When you can speak well, okay, you have a lot of confidence, especially when you have a good bond with your teacher. So, Unit 3, we're going to find out how Bholi showed her confidence, okay, and her decision-making faculty. She was able to make smart decisions, okay? What happened after these few years, the village became a small town. Everything gets expanded, okay? And the little primary school where she started became a high school. Now we had the primary school and a high school right next to it. There was a cinema under a tin shed. The village had their own cinema theater and a cotton ginning mill. You can see they take the cotton, and the ginning is a process to remove the seeds. Okay? So they take all the seeds out and get the cotton ready to make into cotton cloth. And also the mail train. Here we have the mail train coming through. And this is the town. And the mail train now stops at the town, okay? Because there's enough people and enough action to make it worth a stop. So also what happened was that Bholi grew up. Now she's in her teens, all right? And the man in the next town, whose name was Bishamber, okay? Bishamber made a proposal. Listen, I heard about your daughter. I'd like to marry her, okay? So he made a proposal to Ramlal and his wife. So his wife said, yes, certainly. Should we accept the proposal? And she said, yes, certainly, his wife said. Bholi is lucky to get such a wonderful bridegroom. Now she's looking at it from a material standpoint. Bishamber had a big shop, a house of his own, and I hear he has thousands in the bank, 1,000 in the bank or more. Moreover, he's not asking for dowry. Back in those days, a lot of women had to give dowry so that the husband would marry them, okay? Anyway, Bishamber had his own money. He didn't need any more. He didn't ask for dowry. And so Ramlal said to his wife, that's right, but he is not so young, you know, almost the same age as I am. So here they want to marry Bholi off to somebody who's as old as his father. And he also limps. So, you know, it's nice to have a husband that doesn't limp. And so, moreover, the children from his first wife are almost grown up, are quite grown up. They're a lot older than Bholi. So, are you sure we should do this? And so what does the wife say? So what does it matter? The wife replied. 45 or 50? It is no great age for a man. We are lucky he is from another village and does not know about her pockmarks. He might not have heard about the pockmarks on her face and her lack of sense. If we do not accept this proposal, she may remain unmarried all her life. And then Ramal said, but I wonder what Bholi will say. And so the mom, who hasn't been exceptionally nice to the child, what will that witless one say, is what the mother says. She is like a dumb cow. She's thinking about her own daughter, Bholi, as a dumb cow. And then Ramlal is not happy about the way his wife treats the daughter, and he mutters, maybe you are right. So he doesn't want to disagree with his wife. In the other corner of the courtyard, though, Bholi was awake. She wasn't sleeping, okay? And she was listening to her parents' whispered conversation. So this is a lesson for everyone. It's not good to talk about other people, especially in a negative way, because sometimes that other person hears. So Bholi heard this. You can imagine how she felt. Anyway, they accepted the proposal, and Vishambhar Nath, who was a well-to-do grocer, had this big grocery store. And I'm showing you a picture of his grocery store. He had a lot of everything. So he takes some of his money, hires a brass band, and he comes with a big party. He invited all his friends from the village and relations with him for the wedding. He made a big show out of it. A brass band playing a popular tune from an Indian film led the procession, okay? With the bridegroom riding a very decorated brown horse. Ramlal, who's in the village accepting the party coming in, was overjoyed to see such pomp and splendor. This town didn't have big weddings like this very often. He had never dreamt that his fourth daughter, Bholi, would have such a grand wedding. He was thinking it's hard to marry her off, and here she's got this big wedding, okay? So Bholi's older sisters, she's got 3 of them, who had come for the occasion, they were envious. Their weddings were much smaller, okay? And they're thinking, wow, look at the young girl who had pockmarks and was a little bit dumb, we thought, is having this big wedding. And they had a little bit of envy. When the auspicious moment came, the priest, who's managing the wedding, says, bring the bride. And so they brought Bholi in her red sari, okay, and put her next to the bridegroom, next to the fire, the bride's place, near the sacred fire. So the fire is there, and Bholi is there. The bridegroom is over here. So next to the bridegroom is his friend, and his friend says, garland the bride, okay? One of his friends prompted Vishambhar Nath, okay? Now, the bridegroom lifted the garland of yellow marigolds, a beautiful yellow marigold garland, okay, to put it on the bride. And so a woman that was next to Bholi took the veil and lifted it up, okay, pulled it back from the bride's face. Vishambhar, he's wondering what she looks like, takes a quick look, okay, a quick glance. The garland, he's looking with the garland, and he holds the garland. He doesn't garland her, okay? He holds the garland in place, poised in his hands. And then the bride right next to him, she pulls down the veil, okay? The bride slowly pulled down the veil over her face. And then Vishambhar says to the man next to him, you remember this guy's right next to him, he says, have you seen her? Said Vishambhar to his friend. She has pockmarks on her face. He's talking to the friend. And so the friend says, he likes the wedding. He says, so what? You are not young either, okay? And then Vishambhar says, maybe that's true, but if I am to marry her, her father must give me 5,000 rupees. He said this out loud. All the people are around watching this whole thing. And he's demanding 5,000 rupees. You can see he wants all this money to marry Bholi. So Ramlal heard this, went and took off his turban and placed it at Vishambhar's feet. And he said, please don't humiliate me so. Take 2,000 rupees. He's trying to get out of it for not 5,000 rupees, but 2,000. He'd rather give nothing, but he's saying, I'll give you 2,000 rupees. Be a little considerate, please. If you go back, I can never show my face in the village. This marriage, all the people from one village are there, all the people from the other village are there. Everybody's watching the whole play, okay? So be a little considerate. I can never show my face again if you don't get married to my daughter. So then Vishambara says, then out with the 5,000 in a strong voice. Out with the 5,000, okay? So tears streaming down his face, Ramlal's a little attached to this money. Ramlal went in, opened his safe, and counted out the notes, 5,000 rupees, and let the bundle right at Vishambara's feet. Put the bundle there. So then Vishambara, his greedy face appeared a big smile. He goes, wow, he had gambled and won. He wasn't sure that he was going to get the 5,000, but he forced Ramlal to give it to him. Give me the garland. So then the man next to him gives him the garland, he announced. Once again, the veil was slipped back from the face of Bholi, okay? But this time, she wasn't looking down, okay? Downcast. She was looking up, looking straight at her prospective husband, the bridegroom. And in her eyes, there was not anger nor hate, only cold contempt. Vishambara raised the garland to place it around the bride's neck. But before he could put it around her, okay, Bholi's hand struck out like a streak of lightning, okay? It reached out. He's holding it up there. She grabs it and throws it into the sacred fire. That's what she thought about this prospective husband. She did it so fast. So the fire is burning the garland. Everybody's shocked. She got up and threw away her veil. She had her veil on, she just threw it away. And then, in a loud, clear voice, she says, Pitaji. And her father, her mother, her sister, her brothers, her relations, and neighbors were all startled to hear her speak without even the slightest stammer. She goes, Pitaji, Pitaji, take back your money. I am not going to marry this man. Ramlal, he was expecting a marriage, okay? He was thunderstruck. Thunderstruck is you're hit by this big strike of thunder from the lightning bolt that just went off next to you. He was thunderstruck. And then all the guests they're starting to whisper, what's going on? What's going on? And they saw Bholi throw the garland in the fire. And they say, so shameless, so ugly and shameless. This isn't the wedding we thought would happen. And then Ramlal says to Bholi, are you crazy? Are you crazy, Bholi? You want to disgrace? You want to disgrace our family? Have some regard for our izzat, for our face. Have some regard. Because everybody's starting to whisper, and he's feeling a little bit, his ego is feeling a little bit down that his daughter does not want to marry this man who came with all this pomp and show. So Bholi says, for the sake of your izzat, I was willing to marry this lame old man. She was going to go through it, even though she heard what her parents thought about her and about the bridegroom. She was going to do it. But when he demanded for 5,000 rupees, she realized who he was. But I will not have such a mean, greedy, and contemptible coward as my husband. And she's saying this out loud in front of everybody, okay? I won't, I won't, I won't. And then another lady says, what a shameless girl. We thought she was a helpless, dumb cow. And Bholi looks at her. And then everybody can see that she's not going to get married to him. So Vishambhar, he's embarrassed now, and he's feeling bad. He's been called names in front of his friends, his relations, all the people in the village. He started to go back with his party. He said, come on, let's go. The confused bandsman, the leader of the bandsmen, thought that the event was over. The ceremony was done. And he struck up a tune with his band. And the band just marched off. Everybody just left. Ramlal stood rooted to the ground. He's thinking, wow, this didn't turn out like I thought it was going to turn out. His head was bowed low with the weight of grief and shame. He felt bad for Bholi. He felt bad for Vishambhar. He felt bad for all of his friends. He felt bad for his ego, And the flames of the sacred fire slowly died down. Everybody was gone. You can see, here the big party was there, but everybody just left. They all left. It was an embarrassing situation for everyone. Ramlal turned to Bholi, and said, but what about you? What about you, Bholi? You said you didn't want to get married, but now no one will ever marry you now after they see what you've done and how you talked to this prospective bridegroom. What shall we do with you? And he was wondering, what's going to happen now? What am I going to do with Bholi hanging around all the time? So Sulaka, who is Bholi's real name, Sulaka said in a voice that was calm and steady, don't you worry, Pitaji. In your old age, I will serve you and mother. You see how sweet she is? Even though they've been talking bad about her, she's going to serve them as a dutiful child. And I will teach in the same school where I learnt so much. Isn't that right, ma'am? And ma'am was standing there in the corner, watching the whole play, watching everything, just smiling, looking with her nice eyes there. The teacher had all along stood in the corner watching the drama. And she says, yes, Bholi, of course, she replied. And in her shining eyes, you can see her eyes are shining, was the light of a deep satisfaction that an artist feels when he contemplates the completion of his masterpiece. She realized that this Bholi took complete control of the situation and did the right thing, the profound thing. And she was just smiling and happy that Bholi was who she was and that Bholi was going to work with her more and do some more education. So look at the vocabulary that we've learned in this nice chapter. Auspicious, it was an auspicious moment to get married, but it was an auspicious moment to do the right thing also. Ominous, it was ominous. Something big was going to happen. Clad means dressed. Bholi was dressed nicely in a red sari. Prompted means to incite, to get somebody to move. The friend of Vishambhar said, hey, come on, garland the bride. Marigold. Marigold is a beautiful flower. It makes nice malas. Garland, we all know what a garland is. It's a beautiful string of all sorts of flowers held together by a thread. And you can put it on a deity or a person. Humiliate means to insult. Let's face it, the Vishambhar was insulted, and rightfully so. He wasn't behaving properly. Considerate, be considerate. Ramlal was asking him to be considerate, but he wasn't. He demanded 5,000 rupees. He wasn't kind. Triumphant, when the money was laid at his feet, he had this triumphant smile, Smile of victory. Downcast, at first, Bholi was downcast. She didn't like this whole situation. She was looking downward. Prospective husband, that's the would-be husband. Raised means to lift up. He lifted up the garland. Flung, she took the garland, flung it, threw it into the fire. Startled, everybody was surprised and shocked. They were startled by her action. Thunderstruck means very shocked. You're struck with lightning's over there, the thunder hits you, and you're thinking, I'm glad I wasn't hit. Willing is agreeing. I'm willing to do something. I'm agreeing to do something. Creature, here she was a helpless creature, but she wasn't a helpless creature. She was a woman. Creature refers to a man, a human being. Dumb cow, it's a cow that can't even moan or make any sound. A dumb cow. Turned violently, when the old lady criticized her, she turned violently and said something to her. But it just means to turn quickly, turn wildly. Grief. When you have grief, you have sorrow. You have grief. And Ramlal had grief about this wedding. It didn't turn out the way he wanted. He was sorrowful about it. Sacred fire. We all know the sacred fire will burn up things that shouldn't be there. And so the mala was thrown into the fire. That whole marriage was never supposed to be. Wasn't blessed. Died down. The holy fire died down and was put out. They didn't put any more wood or ghee into the fire, and it just burned out. Watching the drama. So the teacher was just watching the whole thing. She didn't know much about the bridegroom. She didn't know much about the whole situation. But she watched the play, and she watched how her masterpiece, how her student handled herself nicely. Deep and profound. She looked, and she had profound and deep thoughts about the whole operation. And so did Bholi. Contemplates. She was contemplating the action of Bholi, and she was pondering over. She thinks over. Masterpiece is a beautiful work of art. This student of hers had learned so much and got her confidence back, and the teacher was very happy. So based on this chapter, we have some questions, okay? If you're paying attention, you'll know the answers to these questions. Number 1, state whether the statements given below are T or F, true or false, okay? The village did not change at all. No, it changed a lot. Remember, they got the ginning mill, they got the train to stop there, It's not a village anymore. It's a bigger village. So that's a false. It did change. Rama's wife was in a hurry to marry Bholi off to anyone. She didn't care that this guy had a limp, okay, and was older and had grown children. She wanted Bholi to be married to this person. So this is true. Number B is true. C, Rama was reluctant to get Bholi married to Vishambhar. You could see from his questions that he was asking his wife, he wasn't so sure. So this is true. D, on seeing the grand wedding, Bholi's sister envied Bholi's luck. True, the girls were envious. Okay. E, Bholi's father readily gave the 5,000 to the bridegroom. No, he cried. He asked, please let me only have 2,000 rupees to give you. He did not want to give 5,000 rupees. So this is true, false. False. He did not readily give. F, in the end, the dumb cow Bholi had gathered enough courage to face any difficulty. True. She became very strong. Next set of questions. Tick the right choice. Vishambhar had asked for 5,000 because 4 choices. He did not want to marry Bholi? No, he wanted to marry Bholi and get the 5,000. 2, he wanted to humiliate Bholi? That wasn't his impression. No, he just wanted 5,000 more rupees. He had gambled and won. He gambled. He wasn't sure what was going to happen. So C is the right answer. D, he urgently needed money. He already had money. So C is the correct answer here. Number 3, tick the right answer. Bholi's decision not to marry Vishambhar showed that she was now, okay, what is she now? Shameless and ill-mannered? No, she knows what to do. B, bold and confident. She is bold and confident. C, a dumb and harmless cow. She's not harmless. She's not dumb. D, sharp and rude. She's not sharp and rude. She is bold and confident. B is the correct answer. Number 4, What changes came over the village in a few years? Well, we know they got a cotton ginning mill. The school turned into a high school, okay? And they got their own movie theater. And the mail train stopped. So a lot of nice things happened to this village. 5. How was Bishamber a well-to-do bridegroom? Well, he had his own grocery shop. He had his own home. He had money in the bank. Okay. 6. Why did Bholi's mother not consult Bholi for her marriage? Well, Bholi's mother was not so happy. She had 3 other girls that were good-looking and strong, and she felt Bholi was always not not a great daughter, and treated her that way. It wasn't good, okay? And talked to her husband and whispered things to her while Bholi was listening. She didn't know Bholi was listening, okay? So that's why she did not consult, because she didn't figure Bholi would know what's good for herself. She knew everything. 7. What condition did Bishamber lay down to marry Bholi, and why? He saw the pockmarks. He said, I'm not going to marry this woman unless I get 5,000 rupees. Why? Because that's what he wanted. He wanted more money. So 8. Why did Bholi refuse to marry Bishamber? Because Bishamber was greedy, contemptible. He wasn't a nice man. He wanted money, okay? He didn't want a nice wife. He wanted money and a wife. 9. There was a deep light of satisfaction in the teacher's eyes. Why? Because the teacher saw Bholi speak so well and make up her mind not to do the wrong thing. When she knew that this wasn't the right bride or bridegroom and was going to live the rest of her life with this man, she made the right decision not to get married. And so the teacher thought, wow, my student knows what to do in this situation. 10. Find the words from the passage which means the same as these words, okay? Of a good omen. A good omen is auspicious. Auspicious time to get married. Auspicious time not to get married. B, jealous. You remember the sisters were envious. The word is envious. It's in the chapter. Victorious. You remember Bishamber. He had this triumphant smile. Triumphant means victorious. But he didn't keep that smile on for long. Despicable. Okay? Bholi said this man is despicable. She didn't say despicable. She said contemptible. Means the same thing. Not a good husband. To consider, the teacher was sitting there contemplating what her student had done. So the word contemplation is the same as to consider. And then they give you one final in-text question to do. Given below are the events in a jumbled form. This is very tricky because some of these are close, okay? Rewrite them in order that they occur in the story, okay? So out of this whole section 3, we've got to go back and see which happened first. Okay, we have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, okay? So we have 8 choices. And we go through the choices and we see number G. A great transformation had taken place over the village. So you remember, it had gone from the little school to a high school, okay? And all these things came, the cotton ginning mill. So this is the first one. G is the first one. A great transformation had taken over the village, okay? And then Ramlal and his wife are talking, okay? This is years later. And they got this invitation from Bishamber. And Bishamber was considered a well-to-do bridegroom for Bholi by her parents. Remember, they're talking, and they think, Bishamber, well, he's a bridegroom, So that's number 2. So G-E, okay. And then the marriage was a great show of pomp and splendor. They accepted the invitation, and Bishamber showed up with great pomp and splendor. So B goes in number 3. That's number C now. Okay. So what happens? The veil gets pulled back, and Bishamber, he refuses to marry Bholi without money. He wants money. So that's the next one. And so You look down the list. We've already got this one, satisfaction. Bishamber's already. Bholi confidently told her father to take back the money and refused to marry Bishamber. Okay? She said to her father, take back the money. So that's the next one. Then we have two left. The guests called Bholi shameless and a disgrace to the family. All the guests started talking. Okay? They said this was ugly, not the proper way to act. They wanted her to get married to him, but she did not want to get married to a man that was greedy. Okay? And so one is left, and that is number C. The teacher felt a deep satisfaction on seeing Bholi as a bold and confident girl. So that's the way the list has to go. Now, here's some things I'd like you to contemplate, okay? Because Bholi had these pockmarks on her face from smallpox. Many people have had this smallpox over the years. Famous people, Mozart, okay, Beethoven, these are famous composers. Mary Shelley, a famous author. George Washington, the first president of the United States. Queen Elizabeth of England. And Abraham Lincoln, probably the best president of America. They all had smallpox. You can see he's got marks on his face from the smallpox. She has marks on her face. But they became successful anyway. The marks do not limit you to be who you are, okay? And there's been many women achievers. India has a long list of achievers, okay? Here's just a few of them. Dr. Kiran Bedi, the first woman in India to join the officer ranks of the Indian Police Service. You can see her smiling and happy there. She's also the first woman and first Indian woman to be appointed to the United Nations Police and Police Advisory Board in the United Nations. That's a big job. United Nations, that's all of the countries in America, New York. Then we have Mary Kom. Here's Mary Kom. She is a great boxer. The only woman to win the World Amateur Boxing Championship. The only female boxer to have won a medal in each of 7 world championships. She's a great boxer. We have a few more achievers. We have Vichendri Pal, the first woman to climb Mount Everest, the tallest mountain. She climbed it, okay, in 1984. She was awarded the Padma Bhushan by government of India because she was so strong and brave. Then we have Durba Banerjee, first woman commercial pilot. In 1956, she was inducted into the Indian Airlines as the first woman pilot. That's a long time ago. So we had a woman flying in India. We have 2 more women achievers. Arundhati Bhattacharya, the first woman, chairperson in the State Bank of India. In 2016, she's the only Indian corporate leader, listed in the world's greatest leaders. You can see her, very serious and strong and smart. And then we finally have M.S. Subba Lakshmi, a very famous singer, Carnatic singer, and first musician ever to receive the Bharat Ratna, India's highest cultural award. She was the first Indian who performed in the United Nations General Assembly and the first Indian musician ever to receive the Raman Magsaysay Award. It's comparable to America's Nobel Prize. It's the highest award. And you can see how happy she is. She's also a devotee of Sathya Sai Baba. And she has sung with her band and played before Sai Baba on many occasions. And Baba really likes her. So let's go back to our hero, This is a first. This is the teacher, the sweet teacher that took our Bholi and turned her into a very strong woman, And she's there smiling, and so she's a hero also. And her masterpiece is Bholi, who turned out to be a hero and a strong woman who probably taught a lot of people. So we're going to go to part number 4 on next session, and we're going to discuss the grammar that we've learned from this beautiful story of Bholi and her teacher. Om Sai Ram.